Hi, Facebook friends. Helen Arcantu here, CEO of the YWCA of Northern New Jersey. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am so happy to have some time with you today. It's that time of year again, folks. Time for the Teaneck International Film Festival. They are in the process of launching their 2022 festival, and it's so exciting as it is every year. Who doesn't love movies, and who doesn't love movies that is connected to a cause and a passion and social justice? And that's everything that the Teaneck International Film Festival is all about. And we are always so happy to support it every year at the YWCA of Northern New Jersey. It's an exciting time of year too. You know, we're finally back to the point of doing stuff in person. So we're back to that. So that's great. And also we've learned a little bit about some of the, what works that we did during the COVID time. So we have a little bit of that in play too. So there's a little bit of everything, just strengthening the film festival and being able to push it out to a greater audience. So for those of you that are new to, and we call it TIFF, that are new to TIFF, what I want to tell you about it is that the Teaneck International Film Festival was started with the support of the nonprofit organization, the Puffin Foundation, which was a small group of dedicated volunteers over 15 years ago. The goal at the time was to create an event that would present a collection of compelling and imaginative feature-length films, documentaries, and shorts from a variety of cultures that would lead the audiences to question, debate, and become caring and involved citizens who recognize the need to institute positive change. As I said, the YW is always proud to be a sponsor of the event, and this year we are sponsoring two films, the Rose McCoy film and Tomaro, which we are focusing on today. It's a film about young Nigerians who are pursuing change in their country. And so grateful to have with us today to talk about the film and to talk about the film festival and anything else that pops up, because that's what happens when you bring creative minds together. I'm always excited to see where it goes. We have Jeremy Lentz, who's the executive director of the Teaneck International Film Festival, and Dina Grushkin, who is as I said, this is her film. So we're so excited to have her here to talk about it. Let me tell you a little bit about each of them. Jeremy, as I said, who is the executive director for the past 14 years of TIFF. Under his direction, TIFF has been dubbed by a nationally recognized newspaper as the film festival with a social conscience. Now it's considered one of the most prominent social justice film festivals in the nation. Jeremy has been recognized for his many contributions as an activist. He has been honored by the Bergen County Board of Commissioners, the Bergen County Executive, the Bergen County African American Advisory Committee for Black History Month, and he has received awards from the Links of Bergen County and their very first community award. And the YWCA of Northern New Jersey has also honored Jeremy with our Racial Justice Award because of the tremendous work that he has done with the film festival and in the community. As I said, he is just a force. He's also been Teaneck Chamber of Commerce Man of the Year. And in 2020, he was named a 5th Congressional District Hometown Hero by our U.S. Congressman Josh Gottheimer. When he isn't leading the film festival, which I feel like he kind of always is, because even there's just always something to lift up year round even though this is the film festival time of year. He is an activist in his hometown of Teaneck. He also works closely with the LGBTQ plus community. He works on their committee in Teaneck, the One Town, One Vote campaign that resulted in moving the town council elections to November. And he's was an amazing speaker at their Pride service event at Temple Emeth, where he is a member. He also can be found like everyone. He's got a paying gig too, the work gig of his life, which is director of Lentz and Lentz SAT Prep. But he is just a force in our community, and we're so grateful to have him. And I personally hold him close in my heart. So welcome, Jeremy. And so happy to also have with us today Dina, who was a public high school and middle school teacher for 36 years. In 2004, she created an international nonprofit educational organization called the Nigerian School Project, Dream School Foundation. And this organization supports public education in Nigeria, West Africa, with educational resources and infrastructure. For the past 19 years, the work has included um, purchasing textbooks, sewing school uniforms, constructing classroom furniture, providing university scholarships, building school libraries, conducting workshops, running educational programs, and constructing 4 public secondary schools, which educate over 4,000 students. Her efforts have been recognized by the Nigerian government in awards, publications, and letters of appreciation. And in addition to her humanitarian work, she is a trauma-informed yoga instructor teaching adults in recovery. Wow. And I get the honor of chatting with them both right now. So welcome to both of you. And thank you so much for being part of this conversation today.
Thank you for having us.
It is
Thank you.
Always such an exciting time of year. We know fall hits and it gets closer and closer, and then November hits, and here we are. Back to it, Jeremy. So, before we jump into talking specifically about the film, tell me a little bit about what to expect with this year's film festival. I know every year is different because you have different films, but this year feels different too for other reasons, I think.
Yeah, we're coming back to virtually pretty much full capacity. So 20 films in 7 days, starting November 13th through the 20th. And one of the other things that I'm really proud of is this was the first year since 2019 that we got to reinstate our Teaneck High School program, where the film festival actually goes into the high school. And we curate a film for 1,300 high school students. And we just did that this past Friday with a film called Recipe for Change, Amplifying Black Women. And it was a huge success, and I think really resonated and connected with our students. So it's just such a great experience to be able to go back into the high school and present in person. But the nice thing is, we're still maintaining a hybrid aspect to the festival. So from November 13th to the 15th, prior to our in-person kickoff, we'll be doing 3 days of virtual screenings across America. So people can participate and join in live to see the films and stay for the talkbacks and actually participate in the talkbacks because they're all live via our OV network. And then starting on November 17th, we are back in person right at Teaneck Cinemas, and running through the 20th, we'll be adding our venue at Temple Emeth and bringing back our Saturday night centerpiece event and a full day of films on Saturday and Sunday running concurrently at both venues. So we're super excited. Lots and lots and lots to talk about this year at TIFF. As always, women's issues are such a big part of the festival. Particularly this year, I think a focus on, women's reproductive rights. We're doing a legacy screening of a HBO film that is going to be free and open to all, called If These Walls Could Talk. The film originally debuted in the 90s and starred Cher, Jada Pinkett Smith, Demi Moore, Sissy Spacek. And we're going to have an extraordinary panel of women joining us, including the filmmaker Nancy Savoca and Tara Norman, who represents the Planned Parenthood for Northern New Jersey, the DEI division, and Barry Lynn Schwartz, who through the National Council of Jewish Women, who are sponsoring that event as part of their 100-year anniversary. And then also focusing another film by a local Teaneck filmmaker called Aftershock, which deals with the maternal health crisis in the U.S., particularly New Jersey, which is interesting, ranks one of the lowest in America with the highest infant mortality rates, with Black women dying at a much higher rate than white women. So that's a community-based conversation that we're going to have with health professionals as well as a filmmaker there. So I would encourage everybody to check out the entire roster of films. There's so many critical issues that are taking shape in our community. There's lots and lots to discuss. Pretty much almost all the films have a talk back, and there's lots of local stories today, which, you know, we'll talk about with Dina's film, but so many incredible Bergen County connections this year. And I'm really proud of that. I'm proud of the people that we're spotlighting in our community.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's so exciting to, see how, you're able to come back full force. And I mean, talk about, kind of a hearty, festival schedule. I mean, there's so much to it. And, the films are, they always are really a kind of a temperature of our time and what's happening. I feel like, when, always. But I mean, so on point with where we are today. So I think it's such a place for community. I just want to tell our viewers and remember that, that is one of the challenges of this time, is we're all really carrying with us, what's happening around us. And this is really a place to sit and to explore and to talk and debrief and get support and resources because of the tremendous panels that are put together around, each of these conversations. So please be sure to check out the schedule. We have the link here for you in the comments so that you can go right to it. And we do encourage you to support TIFF. Again, it is a nonprofit organization, the same way that the YWCA of Northern New Jersey is. And the magic happens because of people like you, that support the work of the entire organization. So please, not only consider, attending, as many as you can of the films on the agenda and on the schedule, but also think about supporting TIFF as a whole as well. So Dina, I mean, talk about a local story. I mean, here you are, you've been in our community as an educator. Before we jump into talking about the film, tell us about your connection to this work in Nigeria. What brought you to this being a place for you to focus your efforts?
Yeah, well, that's the $1 million question. I never, ever, ever thought it would ever be what it is today. That was never my intention. I didn't say, oh, I'm going to go and visit this country and come back and do this. I had an opportunity to travel there. I was a teacher at the time. And I always I love to travel. And I had an opportunity present itself, and I asked if I could go. And it could have been anywhere in the world, because I was traveling with a pastor that was associated with a local church here in Teaneck, and he was a missionary. Mm-hmm. And he traveled to all over the world, Cuba, Philippines, and Nigeria. And so his trip was to Nigeria. And so I was like, oh, I've always wanted to travel to that part of the world. Can I go with you? And so he was sure. And I asked my school district, it was Teaneck, teaching at Teaneck at the time, if I could go, and they agreed to it. And I knew that I wanted to visit schools when I was there. And I knew I didn't want to go empty-handed. So I did some fundraising, raised a bit of money for, not for my own personal expenses, but to purchase things that I anticipated purchasing. And I got off the plane basically, and he went in his direction and he did his missionary thing. And I went off in that direction and visited schools. And I went to one public high school and walked in and met with teachers and kids and sat with everyone. And we had very interesting conversations. And I asked the teachers to write a wish list. And they did, and I went out and I purchased what they asked for, and I came back with it, and that's how the story got back on the plane, and I said, you know what, this feels really, really good. I said, I think I can be of help here, and so I came back and created a nonprofit, and 19 years later, and everything that you just mentioned, we've been able to accomplish. So. How did it happen? I say Nigeria sort of picked me, that's sort of always how I sort of refer to it.
I mean, that list of what you've accomplished there is
Yeah.
astounding. I mean, astounding.
So,
I mean, I know people get, inspired, but,
mm,
you created a revolution, with the work that you've done there.
well,
And
it was monumental, but driven by me.
Mhm.
But I had a lot of people very supportive and very generous, and and a wonderful team on ground that I couldn't have done this without.
Yeah.
So all the pieces seemed to fall into place, and I was very lucky and blessed.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you sharing. I mean, I want to talk about the film, but just even just sharing the journey to that because, I always say this, we sometimes don't realize the power that each of us has as human beings and what real change that we can make. We sometimes get caught in this sea of, and obviously we're in election time, right now. You get caught in this sea of what's happening around us, and you sometimes, we feel a little powerless because of things happening around us. But a story like yours just really reminds us that,
Mhm.
despite that there are things that we can feel powerless about, there is also a lot that we can very, very positively and impactfully change.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because every trip that I've ever taken there is a very emotional experience for me. And I see a tremendous amount of things that are very challenging. And it's very hard because I'm in I've been able to do so much, but there's so much to do. You know what I mean? And so it can be very, very overwhelming. And I don't want to say discouraging. I've never felt discouraged, but the list, you keep adding to the list. There's always something that has to be done. But just like you said, one person, and I don't consider myself one person. I sort of see myself as a catalyst
Hmm.
for change. But it's remarkable what you can do. But I've always felt, and this has always been sort of like my philosophy with regard to anything, you never know who you touch.
Hmm.
You never know what your words will say to somebody. You never know whatever it is that you do, the energy, the effort you put into something. You don't know how it's going to affect and impact somebody. And I am a witness to that every single day of my life. Especially with my humanitarian work. And the project is such evidence of that. I mean, sometimes people say, "How do you do that?" And I look around and I'm like, "You're right. How did I do that?"
Well, and like you said, you may have been the catalyst for it, but still, you jumped in. So let me ask this follow-up question now because, and I guess, it makes sense that you felt good to go in this space too, but then you made a film about it. I mean, it's enough that you did it all, right? But then you made a film about it. Did you have a filmmaking background? I mean,
No, no, actually, it was
how
not
did
my
that
idea.
come to be?
It was not my idea at all. I was sitting in the teacher's room at Thomas Jefferson Middle School in Teaneck, and talking about the work. I don't remember under what the situation was, but I was talking about it, and there was a young teacher, new teacher at the time, sitting in the room, and she made a comment. She said to me, "Oh, can I go with you to Nigeria?" And so a lot of people say that to me, and I always say, "Yeah, absolutely." And I've taken people with me. I've taken teachers with me,
Mhm.
taken my children with me. But a lot of people say that to me. Nobody they say it, but they don't really mean it. 'Cause it's not an easy, trip. But she said, I'm an aspiring filmmaker, and I love your story, and I want to do film. And so I was like, cool, let's do it. And so we found a film team in Nigeria. And so we've been there. I've been there many times, but we took a film crew there as well the following year. So we worked with two different film crews. So over the course of two trips, we filmed a 17 and a half minute short film. But Kim Chittini, who is the director, who is the writer and director of the film, did a remarkable job. And I'm really super proud of the story that she told. Trust me, the film had several iterations to it, but she settled on something that I was very, very proud of.
That's great. So,
Mhm.
Jeremy, what drew you to this film? Obviously, I know that you receive outreach from so many filmmakers, and they're all so different. Obviously, they're all connected to a cause, because that's the really the at the core of your work. But what in particular pulled at you with this one?
Ordinary people
Mhm.
doing extraordinary things. And I don't think Dina toots her own horn enough. Dina happens to live around the corner from me. And, it was so interesting because I knew her as a middle school teacher. I saw her walking her dogs, and that's what I knew about Dina. And then come to find out that this woman built 4 schools,
Or yeah.
four schools on an island off the coast of Lagos in Nigeria. And I'm like, who does that? I'm like, this is freaking amazing. And you're making a documentary about it to tell this story. I said, well, this documentary is coming to Teaneck whenever it's ready. And that was, I don't even know how many years ago,
About
but
3 years.
yeah. And she reached out to me this year and said, I think we're ready. We're going to start submitting the films to festivals. And, that was that. But I was so thrilled to be able to share her story with the world, because it's just so remarkable. You never know who is living next to you, who's
Mhm.
doing incredible work. And I think what's so amazing, and I'm sure, Helen, you see this at the YW, but what is so amazing about the work that I get to do and that we get to do here at TIFF is to be able to meet so many extraordinary people who have devoted large parts of their life to amazing causes, to helping make the world a better place. And that stuff doesn't normally get reported in the
Mm.
24-hour news cycle, right? There's so much of just the negative and whatever is gonna, whatever bite is gonna get followers and be picked up on various news outlets. But I think there's so much good that's out there, and there's so much good that's taking place in the world, that we need to be able to share that. And that's what we do. And just the connections that we meet through this work is fabulous.
Yes, I have to agree. I mean, that's the joy of my job as well. I mean, talk about empowering. Dina's story, and the film unto its own, separate from her story, and that kind of, are just, really, really leave you inspired, and also just thinking about, what can I do?
Yeah.
If she was able to do this, I have to be able to do, to leave my mark as well, and make change. So I love everything about your story. So I don't want to give too much away. I want everyone to join us for the film festival. Join us for the film. Obviously, you have a sense of what it's about, because it's clearly highlighting the experience that Dina's sharing. Now that the film is over, is completed, and you're looking back at it, what was the most surprising part of the experience for you, kind of watching it now? I mean, obviously you lived it, so you were, involved in it, but watching it, as a kind of in this, like, I would assume, like, almost like an out of body experience, kind of experiencing it in that way. What did it leave you with, Dina?
Well, every time I watch it, it gets me, right here. I mean, it's very personal, you know.
Yes.
The story basically, the film follows one particular young man, Israel Okan, who is a recipient of one of the university scholarships that were awarded to the first graduating class of the high school. Every kid got a college scholarship. And so he's attending University of Lagos. And so part of my mission with this work has always been to make sure that whatever I do, I'm not band-aiding a situation.
Right.
And that I'm creating something that is going to sink roots and create a sustainable change and live on way past me. Because this is not about me. This is about generation upon generation upon generation, and our responsibility towards each other. And so I'm just a link. I see myself as a link in that chain, and that's it. And so when I see him in the film speak specifically to the fact of what he's going to learn in the university and then bring it back to this community and affect change in the community that he was, raised in. For me, that's coming full circle, because that's everything that I want this project to be, right? You grow, you learn, you take what you've learned, you bring it back, you affect change where you live, you teach, continue to teach and teach and teach and teach. And so when I hear him say that, it's as if I hear it again for the first time. And, it's very powerful. And it's everything to me. It's just that one line. I'm going to learn I'm going to take what I learned and bring it back home. It's like, that's like I said, I see lights, stars. It's very exciting. So, that is what this project is.
Mm.
It's about keeping this going.
Yeah, well,
Getting these kids and keeping it going.
You clearly have created capacity, an infrastructure and capacity and built a foundation for this legacy that you've left, and for, those who have been involved to keep giving back, and I'm so excited to see the response from the community watching the film together.
I'm very excited.
So I am thrilled that the YWCA, has able to have a part in it. Your film is so entrenched in our beliefs and our values as an organization. Everything from you as a woman and you as a philanthropist and a humanitarian, and being in that space that you've created, and now you as a filmmaker, and so many pieces of that, not to mention the actual work that you've done separate in that. Not that you can split it, it's all a holistic piece, of course, but there's so much to this that is so inspiring, and so grateful that we are able to, lift up. And I just implore everyone watching, please share with your networks, connect with this film, connect with the Teaneck International Film Festival, and join us so that you can, be part of this experience and hear more that evening, of course, with the film. So, Jeremy, before we leave each other today in this conversation, and I know we'll talk more, for sure, always, give us one last, leave us with one last tidbit about the festival. And, we're going to, again, for everyone, the link has been on the screen. The link is here in the comments. Please check it out. But, give us one last, some last words so that we get everyone to sign up.
Well, everybody's gotta show up. Opening night is gonna be a film that's having its New Jersey premiere, its second North American premiere after Tribeca. It's a British film called A Story of Bones, and it follows a American woman who went to this island in the middle of the Atlantic called St. Helena, and it's owned by the British, and the British were building an airport for the first time on this island. And while they were building that airport, they uncovered the remains of over 10,000 freed slaves. And this was a stopping point in the Middle Passage between Africa and the Americas in the slave trade. And, the British government didn't necessarily want to preserve the remains in the way that they needed to be. So these two women on opposite ends of the Atlantic, one in Africa and one in America, joined forces to preserve and raise awareness and hold our governments accountable. So it's a fascinating story. So check it out, teaneckfilmfestival.org. Tickets are on sale directly through the website. You can also participate virtually if you can't get to Teaneck, New Jersey. There are virtual options as well. Costs are very low. If you buy in advance, you save money. And November 13th to the 20th, we're here.
Yeah, and I have to say, if you've never had the film festival experience, I know, we watch them sometimes on TV or see them in magazines. But this is an opportunity for you to have the experience. It just hits all of your senses. It just hits all of your senses to actually be part of it. And so I do encourage you, if you've done it before, it's time to do it again. If you haven't done it yet, this is your opportunity. You don't have to travel far. The theater in Teaneck is just a gem that we have locally. There's
And
so
new
many
seats.
new
New
seats.
seats have been installed. Yeah, leather seats, reclining seats, little trays for your food.
Good popcorn.
It,
Upgraded as well.
it
So
has, and there's lots of great businesses right in the area to stroll to before and after. And so, we really come out and support a community in all aspects by being part of the film festival. So we encourage you to do that. And Dina, really, thank you so much for sharing your story, and just so touched by the work that you're doing. And I know I wouldn't be surprised if there's a follow-up film in the future.
Oh yeah, we're talking about it. We're talking about it. So yeah, we just got to get back. We just got to get back there. It's been a COVID nightmare.
Yes.
So
Well,
I'm anxious to go back and see my kids.
yes. Oh, I'm sure. But I'm sure that when you get there, there'll be more stories to tell. And we look forward to hearing them. And Jeremy, we'll see you soon with the bright lights and the fancy seats and all the amazing talkbacks and conversations. So
and I want to thank you, Helen, and the YWCA and the work that your organization does to support us. It's like you said, it takes a village, and making change is about having the alliances with various community groups that we're able to touch and bring out. And we couldn't do the work that we do without people like you and organizations like the YW. So thank you.
Well, we all link arms. We may do it differently, but we're all wired the same, in terms of our goals. And it's wonderful to have the opportunity to link arms and do it together in different ways, because I do believe that for this social justice work, there is a place for everyone. And everyone may not feel like they're an activist per se, but there's many ways to take that on, and you just have to find the one that makes sense for you. So stick with us, folks. Between us all, we'll find a place for you.
I'm really glad. I just want to say that I'm really glad you said that, because a lot of people would be overwhelmed when they hear what I've done. How can I do that? I said, you don't have to do that. Just be kind to your neighbor, just do something nice for somebody, and you're giving back. That's it.
Yes. Well, and it all starts somewhere. I always say that too. I mean, I think once you find your place, once you start to learn and unlearn, and once you find your place, then the comfort level starts with kind of, going deeper. It's kind of like swimming in the ocean, if you will. So I again, just grateful to be in community with all of you, and looking forward to the film festival kickoff. And for the rest of you, we'll see you. There's more YWTV, as you know, and always a great conversation to be had, because there's so many amazing people in our community to talk to. And lucky me, I always get to do it. But we do encourage you to stay connected to us on social media. We do have so many, amazing programs going on. We'd love for you to learn about. We're obviously some of the ones I just want to lift up real quick to remind everyone that we are a period poverty distribution site. If you'd like to make donations of period products, or if you are in need or know someone in need, we can provide a 90-day package of period products at no charge for anyone in our community in need. And that's a great partnership that we have with the Flow Initiative and Project Local Access. So you can learn more about that through our website, so that you can connect, whether you want to make donations or whether you'd like to get a package to yourself or someone within your circle. Also, we are so grateful for a new grant that we have for the YW Tech, which is a program, workforce development program to help advance digital skills and career options for women in the tech industry. So stay tuned. We'll be launching a whole series of programs at no cost for women in our community. So we're so grateful to be able to bring that to you. as well as always offering great programs with our senior wellness initiatives and our sexual violence healing space program, our 24-hour hotline of support. Just check out our website. There's so much information there, and there's always something for everyone at the YW. And with that, everyone have a great day. Thank you so much to my guest today. And I do encourage you to be part of YW TV and share what you heard today in your circle somewhere, integrate it into a conversation, share this little podcast with somebody. It's a great opportunity to be part of spreading the positive word. And so with that, have a great day. And thank you so much for the time. Bye-bye, all.